Welcome to another episode of
You News, where if you snooze, you news.
Hey, so we're back again with another batch of stories for you to start your day with, and a fun interview at the end. So stay tuned.
Today's top stories: an alligator delays a flight from landing in South Carolina. SADS, or sudden adult death syndrome, may be the number one cause of death now in Alberta, Canada. A Scottish woman reunited with long-lost wedding ring after 50 years. And will the housing prices in your area rise or fall in 2022?
All right, so let's start off with our top story about the alligator. An alligator briefly delayed flights arriving in South Carolina because he decided to go sun himself on the runway. A flight arriving in South Carolina August 29th was briefly delayed by an unusual hazard on the taxiway, an alligator. John Maroney, a passenger on a Delta Airlines flight that arrived from Atlanta on Saturday at Charleston International Airport, snapped a photo from the plane window showing the alligator on the taxiway when the plane arrived about 7 p.m. Saturday. Maroney said the pilot announced the plane would be slightly delayed as he waited for the alligator to cross the taxiway. The Naval Air Station in Key West, Florida, reported a similar hazard back in April, when a crocodile was spotted sunning itself on the runway. The runway was shut down while the reptile refused to move, and Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission personnel arrived with a trapper to relocate the crocodile outside the base. Doesn't sound like a very secure base.
No, and it sounds like the runway is like prime real estate for alligators.
Yeah, well, hey, it's nice and hot and sunny and no trees around to make shade.
I just learned that there are crocodiles in America. They are at the very southern tip of Florida and in the Caribbean. I didn't know.
So we got the alligators and the crocodiles.
Yes, saltwater crocodiles.
Awesome.
So in gas price news, the national average is again lower today. It's at $3.85 a gallon. And the highest national average is in, you guessed it, Hawaii at $5.30 a gallon. And the lowest national average is in Arkansas, once again, at $3.35 per gallon.
It is time to move to Arkansas.
Yes. The average is $4.78 in Oregon, which makes me glad I moved to Kansas, where it is $3.53 per gallon currently.
I like that. A Scottish woman was recently reunited with her long-lost wedding ring after 50 years. Donald McPhee, who picked up metal detecting as a hobby about 7 years ago after being inspired by some videos right here on YouTube, took up metal detecting. McPhee was inspired to act when Peggy McSween, 86 years old, his neighbor in Benbecula. I'm sorry, but that is quite the place.
That's in Scotland.
I'm from Benbecula.
Doesn't everybody know Benbecula? Count Benbecula? Everybody knows him.
Yeah, he was the cousin, the Scottish cousin of Count Dracula was Count Benbecula. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, on with our story. McSween told McPhee about how she had lost her wedding ring while gathering, you guessed it, potatoes. 50 years earlier. 50 years earlier. McPhee said he visited the meadow where the potato patch was formerly located, and after spending 3 days and digging 90 holes, he finally found it. It was in immaculate condition. She put it on her finger and it still fitted perfectly, McPhee told The Guardian. McSween says she was shocked that the ring had been found after all these years. He just came to the door and said, "I have something to show you." It was the ring. I couldn't believe it, but there it was. I thought I would never see it again, she said. So there's a happy ending to that story.
That's wonderful. And now for a bit of sad news. A leading pathologist says he thinks that SADS, or sudden adult death syndrome, is now the leading cause of death in Alberta, Canada. When asked about the unusually high death rates of physicians, occurring in the Canadian province, Dr. Roger Hodkinson said, sudden adult death syndrome, of which these physicians are probably examples of, is now the commonest cause of death, at least in Alberta where I live. That means more people are dying unexpectedly with no cause than are dying from strokes and heart attacks and diabetes, for example. It's never ever happened before. And although I don't know where he got his data, if he extrapolated it from the amount of physicians that were dying and then applied it to the general population. I don't know how he got his data, but hearing a pathologist state that people are dying at an alarming rate of unknown reasons causes real concern for the cause and possible treatment to stop this terrible trend.
Absolutely. Now, in realty, the odds of falling home prices in your local housing market can now be better assessed with one interactive map. Between June 2022 and June 2023, CoreLogic predicts U.S. home prices are poised to rise another 4.3%, just when you thought they couldn't get any higher. But that's nationally. Regionally, some markets are at a high risk of falling prices. To determine the likelihood of regional home prices dropping, CoreLogic assessed factors like income growth projections, unemployment forecasts, consumer confidence, debt-to-income ratios, affordability, mortgage rates, and inventory levels. According to the resulting price map, regions that have had a traditionally hot market, such as the Northeast, the West Coast, and Arizona, are all slated to have a dip in housing prices. Areas that may actually see an increase include, for the most part, Texas, the central parts of the country, that's where we live, and Florida can also expect a rise in home prices. And now we have a special interview from our man on the streets, Cornfed Craig, in which he interviews Pastor Dennis from Roseburg, Oregon, about a special song that he wrote.
Today with my friend, former pastor, and local folk music legend, Dennis Price. And welcome to the show. And we wanted to tell everybody about a special song you wrote for your mom. And can you tell us what the occasion was that you marked with this special song?
Well, my mom was 101 years old. And I don't know, about 6 months ago, I went down there and on a whim decided to write a song for her about her being 101. Little did I know that when I wrote the song for her, that this was going to be her last year of life on this earth. So she just recently passed away about less than a month ago, and we had her service. Yeah. Well, for her, it's great. She's with the Lord. Absolutely. For the rest of us, we're missing her. So 2 days ago, we had her service, and I did what I'll call the studio version of the song. And so we played that at the conclusion of the service. The service was phenomenal. There's 8 of us kids, and so most of us shared, and a lot of good memories. 2-hour service. I mean, that's a long memorial service. So, wow. So it's a lot of touching moments, a lot of funny moments, and so this is the song that we ended with. Not Your Grandma's America is what they decided that I should call it.
I like that.
Yeah, or you could call it. I kind of wanted to call it "She's the Story of America," but maybe "Not Your Grandmother's America" is a little more catchy.
Yeah, it could be. How long did it take you to write the song?
Oh, an hour or two. It just
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just came to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So 101. I sang it to her live. And so the video shows some of those live shots in the studio version.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, we really appreciate you sharing this with us. And we'll end the show today with Dennis Grice performing This Is Not Your Grandma's America. Is that correct?
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks, Corn-Fed Craig and Pastor Dennis. That's all that we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of U-News, where you are the reporter.
Thanks for joining us today. God bless everyone. And to play us out, we're going to listen to the rest of Dennis's wonderful song. Bye-bye.
a blessing. Oh, Jesus, I pray, make me a blessing to someone today. I sing that song a lot because I love Jesus.